evening to Twilight Adults high school graduates. It was a beautiful experience and I was honored to be there. So before I get into this, I'm going to read a little story, and I also want to thank you all for being a part of my journey. You know, I'm a student in life, a collector of stories. My experiences are the totality of my life. So here we go. Once there were two boys in middle school. They were best friends. In class, they would sit together, and on the schoolyard, they played sports. When they went home, they would play video games over the internet. Soon this friendship will take a turn for the worse. These two boys will become enemies. It got to the point where they even got physical and a fight ensued. The teachers had to separate them. Behind faculty's backs, they would flip each other off and talk smack about each other. During the beginning of the new year, Southern California experienced many storms and rain across the state. One of the boys saw his former friend without the proper clothing that the rainy season called for. Through his eyes, he believed his former friend was cold, and even during lunchtime, he also felt that he was more hungry than usual. Before their fallout, he saw how his friend had a shift in behavior, and not understanding, he took it personally. Suddenly, this boy didn't care about why he behaved the way he did. All he was concerned about was his friend's well-being. One afternoon, he walked up to his former friend, and now enemy, and told him, "I forgive you." The other boy in the story replied by saying, "You're a true friend." In that moment, the two boys embraced each other in front of the entire schoolyard without any fear of being made fun of. That evening, one boy told his mother what had taken place at school. He then asked his mother if she and dad would be willing to buy him a sweater along with some snacks for school. Mom replied, let me ask Dad. Dad was driving home from work when he got the call. The father was in awe as he listened to the day's events. Driving across town searching for the right sweater and the perfect snacks with family and told they were all on a mission. One of the boys in the story is my son, Stevie, and I want him to know that I'm very proud of him. At times, me and my wife question our ability as parents, but in moments like these, we are reminded that we are doing a good job. The other boy is my son's best friend. I won't say his name due to confidentiality and possible HIPAA violations.
All of a sudden.
These two boys are an example to us all. One had empathy and the heart to forgive. The other showed tremendous courage as he broke down walls and let his friend in. These two boys were not concerned about the color of their skin or the brand of shoes that they wore. They were not even worried about what side of town they came from. So when I was driving home, my wife told me this story, right? And it almost even brought me to the point of tears. You know, I was just, like I said earlier, I was in awe. You know, and like being parents, but when our kids come into this world, we don't have an instruction manual. You know, we just go as we learn as we go, right? So these kids being an example to me reminded me of a book I once read. It's called Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. So if y'all don't know who Lao Tzu is, he's the individual that schooled Confucius. And the Tao Te Ching was written over 2,000 years ago, and it is one of the 5 major schools of thought in China. So in the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu states that we should go back to a time when we were children. See, when children are brought into this world, they are a perfectly carved block. But what happens as we get exposed to the world, as we all know, the storms of life show up, and when it rains, it pours. So that causes that block of wood to expand and shrink, to expand and shrink. And soon it starts getting these imperfections. Then we start hearing these negative words, and then it begins to chip away. And then trauma shows up suddenly and violently, and then it becomes to hack away. So this also reminded me of another book that was written over 2,000 years ago, and it has a famous carpenter in it. And then like this carpenter, through his mercy and grace, we can restore this damaged block. As we begin working on ourselves, we sand away all the imperfections. We might even add a little lacquer to make it all nice and shiny. When it's all said and done, we will have a beautiful piece of art before our very eyes. After all, we are his most beautiful creation. Today, let's be more like children and not worry about the materialistic possessions or things of monetary value, but show love to one another. Thank you.